Hey folks, welcome back. Thanks again for joining us. So this presentation has a wide range of things going on. There's a lot to it. It isn't the same thing, over and over and over. So, I mean, that's just how it happened this week. There's just a lot that was captured, and I'm trying to give you as much of it as I can. There actually are some captures that aren't included here because I just haven't quite figured out how to relay the information, which, that happens. But what is in here, like I said, is a wide range, and it starts out with one that's, in my opinion, exceptional. It's a LAPD helicopter with one of these fast movers that goes right up to it and then goes behind it. And I captured it in the heart of Los Angeles, downtown Union Station. In any event, the other thing too is that, when with these presentations, sometimes I say there's a theme and this is what it is. Other times I say there's no real theme. And the reason that goes that way is because I don't, preset or predetermine what I'm trying to do or talk about. I capture what I capture, and if I happen to see or identify a theme, then I point it out to you. In this case, the theme is that it's easy to get hung up on one capture if you find something and disregard the rest of the footage or even the rest of the screen. And I've fallen victim to that myself before, and this week it happened quite a bit, and thankfully it was a lesson I've already learned. And so a lot of the captures you're going to see are layered because there's something going on, and then there's something else I'm going to point out at a different part of the screen, or deeper back, or whatever the case may be. So yeah, the theme is, if you find something, don't get hung up on it. Note it, but then continue looking at your footage, because oftentimes there's more than just that one item of interest. So that's it. Enjoy. As always, feel free to comment, share the video with whoever you think might enjoy it, and we'll talk to you on the other side. Thanks. All right, let's do it. Like I said in the intro, we're starting with an LAPD chopper. And if you look right in front of the cockpit, right in front of that windshield, you'll see something there. And then in the next frame, it's not there. And then the frame after it is right behind the helicopter. And you'll see here. The fact that the middle of this helicopter is white is very advantageous for our purposes, because otherwise it'd be very tough to see. Here it is in real time. This is what many people in my line of work would call incontrovertible evidence. There's no question that this thing is up there with that chopper and moving at a rate of speed which is inexplicable. I'm just going to say point blank, this footage is just exceptional, and we feel very fortunate to have captured it. Other than the notclouds and then the nutterflies, which are these things, they're nutty, but they're not butterflies, so I call them nutterflies. I think other than those two, these are my favorite, these pencils. I mean, not only is there no sign of propulsion, there's also no sign of stabilization. I mean, how are these things moving through space? So this is the first in terms of the theme, right? So this thing happened, but it happened to the far right of the screen and away from the aircraft and away from two fast flyers too. So here it is in real time, but full screen. So you see that fast flyer, there's another one that just shoots down there, the plane goes away, and look to the far right. It's just like, it has nothing to do with anything. And if you focused on those two fast flyers, you wouldn't see that at all. So this is what I'm saying about observing the entirety, of your footage. And the way it's quickly changing color and shape remind me of the orbs we captured in Lake Arrowhead and Joshua Tree. So that's a hawk, and then that's something crazy coming down above the hawk. Who knows? So this is another example of the theme. This happened in the same footage as that hawk, but it was nowhere near the hawk, and I had to zoom in, and that's why it's more grainy. But this happened. I mean, these things are in the footage. So remember, I'm just sharing footage we captured, right? I'm not really taking a position, but I'll tell you, my eyes say that that's up there. Yeah, I understand that in real time, at real speed, it's really difficult to see these things, but that's sort of the point. I don't want you to lose sight of how fast these things are moving. This is another example of the theme that we touched on. So this is the same LAPD helicopter that we started with, but it's later in the footage. And the color has changed because it's flying toward the sun, toward the setting sun on the Pacific Ocean. Those metallic sounds you heard in the background were again because this footage was captured on a train platform at Union Station in downtown LA. You'll see it coming in from left to right, right in front of the cockpit there. And this is another one that's pretty layered and in keeping with the theme we discussed. Uh, so after this one passes, there's actually another one from left to right, but on the bottom underside of the helicopter that actually catches that first one and sort of runs it down because it's going so much faster. So with this wider view, you can see the one on the bottom run down the first one right there. And you'd think that's the end of the footage, and it kind of is from this perspective, but there's actually a lot going on in the top right corner, which we'll check out in a moment. And again, it's in keeping with the theme because it's, you see these past the uh, craft and you think it's over, but if you keep looking and keep investigating, you tend to find more. We're going to zoom in now on that top right corner so you can see more closely what's going on up there. So here it is, and you see that fast one run down the slower one, and then look from left to right up top there, and then right to left, you see another one come through. You know, I can't tell if that first one goes in front or behind this chopper. I don't know. So we zoomed in a little closer. Let us know what you think. I mean, I sometimes it looks one way, other times it looks another. There's a shadow factor going on with the rotor blades. So I don't know. Either way, it's interesting. We sort of went in reverse and started with the real time with audio, almost like a setup, because I wanted to see if you identified the other things going on beyond this first one. Again, this is in keeping with the theme. That first one goes by really quick and really obviously, but then this also happens. So yeah, if you focus exclusively on that first obvious one, these latter two, captures are just missed. Yeah, I mean, if you focus on that first one and you're stoked about it and everything, and look at that and it's awesome, it's easy to get hung up on it and feel like, okay, I got it. But it doesn't mean that's the only thing in your footage. I don't know what to say about these orbs other than, they're cool looking, and it's like they just seem like they're just pure energy. There's no wings, there's nothing. The other thing to note is that there's no aircraft here. I wasn't recording a plane or anything. I was just recording clouds because they look cool, so I decided to give it a minute and see what was up, and that's what was up. This footage is blurry, but the only reason it's in here is because of this crazy arc. In my mind, this arc bespeaks intention, which is fascinating. We have three things going on here. First is this kind of slow floating orb, and then the second item is this one, and then the third one is that one. This is probably the least dynamic of our captures. It's no less cool, it's just kind of boring, but there's a contrast factor here. Check it out. We are talking apples and oranges, and just my opinion, I could be wrong, but these things are moving at a different speed. This is another one that's cool to see, but not to get hung up on because there's more going on. Look at this subtle glitch when it goes from blurry to not blurry. Something caused that, so we zoomed in and we found it. Admittedly, it's not easy to see, but it is there, and it's not a fast mover. It's like it was like ejected and like floating out. So again, when you see something this obvious, enjoy it, note it, but don't let that be the end of your inquiry. All right, well, here's another pencil. And like I said before, there's no obvious sign of propulsion, and somehow or another it stabilizes itself and gets around at very fast speeds. And it's just very curious. This is one of those things, you'll see it right in the middle, right there. It like blinks in and blinks out, and this is super slowed. So we're gonna slowly back out and slowly get back to real speed. So there it is, and then at real speed, here it is. I know it's tremendously difficult to see, and it's also perplexing. I have no clue what it is, but that's also why you're looking at it, because it's interesting, because it defies explanation, at least to me. Here's a capture from that same set of clouds. And actually, early on when I said there's footage I didn't include because I don't know how to relay it, it's also in these clouds. Maybe I'll figure it out one day. It's also funny too because my kids were looking at this and my daughter was like, "Dad, don't include that one. No one's going to believe that those clouds are real. Those colors are crazy." So blurry like the one with the arc, but also interesting because it seems to be very much under control, even though it's not particularly fast. Yeah, it's funny how relative everything is because I just said this not particularly fast, but it actually is. It's just relative to some of these other things, it's not. No source of propulsion, just seems to be pure energy and very fast. It's on the fence with including this one. Something goes on the top like a notcloud and the bottom like an orb. And this is slowed, and you can see them both, but I don't know if this is going to translate. So, we'll see. Here's the notcloud. Uh, it's tough even to see on my phone. So I don't know how this is going to translate, if at all. Um, but, like I said before, I'm just sharing what I'm finding. And this is very interesting to me. I almost feel like you can hear them, like there's a whoosh, but I can't tell if it's those things or if it maybe it was me or some sort of ambient noise. I don't know. All right, so we're arriving at the end, and some of you may have remembered this thing did a flyby on me in early April, um, and I did not enjoy it. And there's also this thing I captured that I've shared with you before, and I'm showing you these things because something similar was captured again. Yeah. Because I know some people think these are butterflies going close to the camera, I decided to get some butterflies close to the camera and show you what those actually look like. They're in every frame. These things, on the other hand, even at 60 frames per second, are not in every frame. These things are hauling. They are so fast. And then on top of it, they just actually don't look like butterflies. It's like the human brain wanting to make it something familiar, I guess. I don't know. But either way, I included some of these butterfly shots so you can see the differential. Yeah, these things, they're butterflies. They look like butterflies and they're in every frame. And there's a bug in the middle with two giant wings. And those other things don't look like that. There's no bug in the middle. And this is why I call these things nutterflies, because they're nutty AF, they're crazy fast, and they're not butterflies. They just aren't. And here they are in each frame, what they look like. And like I said, there's no bug in the middle. A butterfly is a bug with two giant wings. There's this thing, it doesn't have the bug part. It's a very important element of the butterfly missing in here. All right, folks. Well, there you have it. Like I said at the intro, pretty wide range of things. In my opinion, pretty dynamic captures and some super, truly inexplicable things, that just leave you scratching your head. And I'm kicking around this sort of theory. It's funny. Like, I feel like I'm constantly hearing about how scientists and zoologists are discovering new creatures all the time, whether it's at the bottom of the ocean or the Amazon, or somewhere in Indonesia there's a frog. It's like we're constantly finding new animals, and nobody seems to have a problem with it. Everyone's just perfectly accepting of it, which is fine. Yet, when we find something like the things that we record and present, people seem to take issue with it. And I'm trying to figure out why that is. And then I realize it's because we are perfectly accepting of things that we feel are inferior to us. But all of a sudden we find things that are flying 3,000 miles an hour, and we can't explain what they are, what they're doing, where they come from, if they're animals, if they're technology, if there's something else. It's like it's baffling. And so because we don't have answers, it's automatically rejected, it seems. And that is perplexing and also moronic. So I don't know if that's the case or not. It's just something I'm thinking about. Like, why do people accept so willingly, a newly discovered type of fish or bird or frog, but then you find something like, what approached that LAPD chopper, and you have no answer for it. So instead of just saying, oh, okay, well, there are things here that outperform us, you say, no, it must be a bug. I mean, that's idiotic. But yeah, I don't know. Human beings are interesting creatures. So anyway, thanks again for joining us. Hope you enjoyed this one. I did. I enjoyed putting it together. The captures were amazing in my opinion. And as always, I say they leave us with more questions than answers. So feel free to comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you like, what you didn't like. Just have at it. Let's talk about it, think about it, and open source this stuff and try to figure it out the best we can. And like I said, share it with people you think might enjoy it. So in any event, that's it. Thanks again. Take care.